Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of Canmaking News In Conversation. Today I'm chatting to John Hrdlick, the CEO and President of INX International, which is a global manufacturer of high-performance printing inks and coatings for commercial packaging and digital print applications. John, hello.
Hi, Janice. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you very much. It's so lovely to see you and to have a chat. Have I pronounced your name correctly, by the way?
Yes, you did. Hrdlick is perfect.
So, what I wanted to do is just have a little chat about you and go through some background. I mean, we all know about INX. INX has been around for forever. I mean, as long as I can remember. Perhaps you could refresh our memories and tell us all about the company, just for our listeners, really.
Well, we have been around quite a while. INX International is part of the Cicada Inks Group, and our business is mainly focused on packaging inks of all types. That's about 86% of our business. But we are also still involved in commercial printing inks and coatings, energy curable inks and coatings. And Cicada Inks is the third largest printing ink company globally. So we are part of that group, and we are also the third largest company in North America. So we've been very strong in the can-making business related to inks, and that's been most of our efforts along with our other business.
So tell me about Cicada. Did that happen before INX or the other way around? How did it work?
Cicada's been around just as long as we have. Prior to becoming INX International, we were Acme Printing Ink, which is the side of the business I came from.
Okay.
And we began working together with a joint venture in 1989, I believe. And in 1991, Cicada purchased us completely along with another group of smaller ink companies, and we all became Cicada in 1991.
So I've looked and done a little bit of research. So it looks to me as though there are 44 locations globally for INX. Is that correct?
That's correct. 44 is about right. Possibly 50 at one point in time.
So managing companies all over the world must be really, really difficult. How does this work?
Well, we're very well connected here in North America. We're also responsible for our operations facilities in Europe and South America. So even though we operate independently, it all happens under the umbrella of INX North America. And we have very close cross-functional management groups involved in all of those regions. We communicate on a regular basis. We budget together, and we share resources. So that keeps us very close-knit.
So when you say you share resources, I'm immediately thinking about your R&D, because I know that's huge and very important to your company. I presume that most of your budget goes on R&D. Is that correct?
Well, roughly, if I look at our total revenue in North America, I would say 5% of that is the cost of operating our R&D department in North America. So if you factored in our R&D efforts in Europe and South America, that could be closer to 10%, but that's not really the whole story. Approximately 27% of our workforce are employees who are embedded in our metal customers and provide on-site technical support and ink blending. So a lot of our R&D effort includes the efforts that go on in those implants because they provide testing and feedback to the R&D groups, and it's really quite extensive.
Yeah, huge. I can imagine. So tell me about you, because we've seen you at shows and seen you out and about, and it looks to me as though you started out as a lab technician in Milwaukee. Is that correct?
Pretty close. I've actually been in the industry a total of 47 years. My
Wow.
first 3 years were with a small company in Milwaukee, Sinclair and Valentine, and then I joined Acme in 1977.
Mm.
And I started in Milwaukee on the production floor, actually, but very quickly moved into the lab and spent a great deal of time in QC, color matching, then customer service. And roughly in 1980, I transferred to Charlotte, North Carolina, to join the facility down there for Acme, which was at that time mostly dedicated to two-piece metal ink manufacturing.
Yeah.
So it was down there that I learned the two-piece and three-piece metal decorating formulations and technical service. And then I believe it was 1989, I moved on to run a facility in Pennsylvania that manufactured metal inks in addition to other inks that our company had. Uh, 5 years after that, I went back to Charlotte to run the facility, and very quickly I started to gravitate towards regional operations management. And in 1999, I was brought up to our corporate office here in Schaumburg, Illinois, and I managed our distributors and our small tech service warehouse facilities. And 2010, 11, I became COO. And when Rick Clendenning retired a few years ago,
Yes.
I stepped in his big shoes, and I've enjoyed it all the way. It's a very challenging role, but every day is different, and
Yeah.
I enjoy that, and I enjoy the challenges.
So you must have been hooked from day one, really, I imagine, because it's unusual nowadays. I would have thought, maybe I'm wrong, to for companies to offer apprenticeships from the very beginning, and for employees to work their way up, all the way up to the top. It's I would think that's a challenge and also quite unusual.
Yes, I come from a time where you could still do that.
Yes.
Uh,
If only.
yes, a number of my peers came up through our company or their companies in a similar way. But the ink industry is like that. It's an industry where you can come into it green and work your way along by learning, and you have to have somebody who supports you and provides the mentorship that you need to
Yes.
grow. And obviously, that person for me was Rick Clendenning.
I mean, I remember him very well. A lovely man.
Yes,
Absolutely lovely.
every opportunity I've received from inks has really come through Rick Clendenning. So he guided me. We're not exactly the same in how we do things, but much of my approach I learned from him.
Do you still see him?
Yes, on occasion he's relaxing in Wilmington, North Carolina, playing golf 3 days a week.
Yeah.
But we still talk. We're due for another call, actually. And he's still interested in how we're doing, how the industry's doing.
Yeah.
But he's enjoying his family and the grandchildren. His golf game is improving.
Yeah, excellent. No, I mean, he was a lovely guy. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that in the metal packaging industry gets into you, doesn't it? And once you're involved, it's very hard to leave it. And I can remember going to the IMPA several times to retirement parties,
Mm-hmm.
and the guys retired and they were there the next year. So they couldn't leave, really.
No.
It's very hard, isn't it?
Well, it's a very important industry. You just look in grocery stores, and
Yes.
where would people be without the aluminum can and all the other metal packaging that exists? So it's a critical industry. It's important. Yet in the big picture, I guess it's relatively small compared to other industries, but it's very close knit. You make a lot of lifelong friends.
Yes.
Especially in the IMDPA, people
Yeah.
learn from each other, and there's a lot of camaraderie, even if you're competitors. So the business does
Yeah.
that to you.
You play a strong part in the IMDPA. Has this been a gradual process, or was it a determined effort to actually really support the association?
We've been supporting from day one, and we find it's important for us to help the industry progress. Obviously, we have a very large stake in the industry, so we want to utilize our position to help influence, but also get the additional access to our customers and support them.
Yeah.
But our company does that with a lot of associations. We feel because our industry is so small, it's important that we do our part to make it a viable option for younger people coming up in manufacturing or
Yes.
in business in general, and to make an industry, the printing ink industry, something that they would like to be part of. It's very colorful, that's for sure.
It's really colourful. I know. I've got several pictures that I was given from awards ceremonies. They are amazing. I've got a guitar, I've got cars, all metal decorating up in my study upstairs. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's amazing. So going back to the IMDPA, though, of course, your marketing director, Renee, is now president, which is a marvellous achievement because I think she's the second female, isn't she, to become president?
Yes, Renee Scouten has done an excellent job. The same passion she brings to her job here at INXs, she pours into her role as president of the IMDPA.
Yeah.
And, everybody likes to make their mark, and Renee is certainly doing her level best to leave the association in a better place when she moves out of that role.
Yeah, I mean, it must be hard dealing with you guys, actually. When I think of all the men she has to deal with, I do feel for her.
Well, Renee came to us as an intern many, many years ago. Well,
Yes.
Not that many years ago. She's still very young, but so she's learned our business from the ground up, and she kind of grew up with us. She looks out for us, and we definitely look out for her.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. I've known her for a long time too. So yeah, it's fantastic news. My next thought is, maybe you can tell me secrets. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Do you have anything new coming up on the horizon that you can share with me that we need to know, or do I have to wait until everybody else gets it too?
Everything we're doing on the development side these days, no matter what the product is, it's all related to being more sustainable, and we know that's the direction we have to take. On the can side, we're very involved in digital printing as well.
Yes.
And we're developing our digital inks for aluminum cans to another level. Right now, energy curable seems to be the method of choice for curing.
Yes.
And that's something that you can look for in the future.
And here is a very quick word about our guest, INXs International. INXs International Company is a global manufacturer of high-performance printing inks and coatings for commercial packaging and digital print applications. They bring global brands a strategic advantage no other ink manufacturer in the world can match. From chemical formulation to best manufacturing practices, from technical innovation to field service and support, from all types of printing inks and coatings to new digital platforms. INXs International stands ready with global capabilities and local solutions. And now back to the podcast. How have you coped during the pandemic? I mean, has it been quite hard? Because I know the travelling has cut down dramatically. I've asked everybody these questions actually, but has it affected your business, or have you managed to find other alternatives?
Well, actually, our business is stronger than ever as a result, even during the pandemic. As I said earlier, 86% or so of what we produce is for packaging, and a lot of that is food packaging and beverages that go in the grocery stores. And during the pandemic, people couldn't go to restaurants, so they were purchasing more from the grocery stores. It's interesting in the U.S. There's a higher consumption of alcoholic beverages at home than in other countries. So that was a big.
But it's higher in the US. It's higher in the US than Europe. Is it really?
Yes.
That's just because of the pandemic, is it?
I don't know. I thought I heard during the pandemic that was a stat that was there before the pandemic, but the pandemic just increased it further. We were essential throughout the pandemic. Our facilities never shut down. Our corporate office was totally mobilized for working from home within 3 days. And I kept coming to work because I could, and there were only a handful of us here on the floor, so it was easy to be distanced. But our company, we reacted very well to the needed protocols to keep our people safe. Our employees were very cooperative with that. And we had some impact from COVID, but the percentages were relatively low, and we never had to stop manufacturing.
No.
That's continued into this year, obviously, at various levels, depending what part of the world you're in, or in the U.S., what state you're in.
Yes.
But with the current situation with the supply chain disruptions, we're finding that more challenging than COVID was, actually.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem globally. I know here it's quite bad. There are things that we can't get. But it's interesting about drinking it from home and staying at home. I think we've all done that here. And I know I got into watching movies on television and doing things that I never used to do as much, and not going out as much. And actually, I'm still not going out much because I quite like being home now.
Yes, COVID changed a lot of habits.
Yes, it did.
I noticed driving around here in the U.S., you saw a lot of people make a lot of improvements to their backyards, their patios.
Yes.
Their patios became their entertainment
Ideal
area.
homes suddenly appear. Yeah, no, amazing. So, well, hopefully we're going to get out of this now, because I guess the next big show now for the industry will be METPAC in 2023.
Yes, we've already been talking about that, and we have a space secured. It's smaller than our normal space for a stand. If I look at our largest stand, it was at Drupa. But for METPAC and many other shows that we'll still participate in, we'll probably have a smaller booth, not as much equipment in it as we used to have. We want to mainly promote our newest technology and have people there to meet with customers. So the pandemic taught us, number one, we probably do not have to travel as much as we used to, or send as many people as we used to. So going forward, we'll still participate in the important shows, but I suspect we'll have a smaller presence.
Yes.
And in some shows, we'll likely just send people to interact with customers. A lot of associations and shows found it very easily to move to a hybrid, not a hybrid necessarily, but a totally virtual format.
Yes.
And it's still not as good as the live in-person shows, because there's a lot to be said about that as far as relationship building. But if you're teaching people about technology, the virtual shows do very well. So I think in the future there'll be a mix of both.
Yes, I agree.
And some of those shows will be hybrid, but
I think the shows now they're essential. But I think, as you say, we've all discovered that we can manage without, not completely without, but not doing things differently. And I think it's a good thing, really. It's cost effective.
Yes, I guess it would be shame on us if we didn't learn from these things, because it does change everything going forward. As we said, people's habits have changed.
Yes.
And a lot of people do not want to travel as much anymore. So we'll adapt, and business will go on, and we'll all be fine.
Well, I think the next conference is smaller conference is you've got LatinCan in March. I think, next year. And then, of course, there'll be the IMDPA again. I presume that will be in May again. I'm assuming. I don't know. We haven't heard yet.
I believe that's still being discussed.
Yeah.
With the timing.
Yeah.
LATAM can just happen, and another one coming in March.
Yeah.
So that is something everyone's talking about. Do we stay on the new annual time frame or switch back to the old?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard, isn't it, really? I think switching back, because it's actually ingrained in our minds, isn't it? Those months are ingrained in our minds. And I forget that, that the IMDPA was just now. I always think of it as being in May, so maybe it's best to keep it to the same. I don't know. But it's an exciting time. There are exciting times ahead. Now, I want to ask you a question I ask everybody, and I'm sure I can guess who the first one is, but maybe you can remind me. Can you tell me, name 3 people who are the most influential people in your life, basically? I would say working life, not personal life.
Working life, number 1 is definitely Rick Glendenning, for the reasons I stated before. Number 2 and 3 is hard, especially if you have to keep personal out of it. So,
well, if you want to say personal, do it's fine.
I mean, obviously, my parents gave me my basis to be who I am, but from a business standpoint, I can honestly say, after Rick Glendenning, I've always been an observer of people I work for or with, even outside of our company. And I can truly say I pick up things from everyone.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to choose a number 2 or 3 that had the biggest impact on me. Early in my career of being a general manager, Greg Stromberg, who worked for INXs.
Yes, I know Greg. Yes. Yeah.
He sent me a lot of books.
Did he?
My wife still comments on that because they show up at our house. But I learned from what he sent me, but in our long discussions we used to have when I was trying to figure out how to be a general manager. And beyond that, he's always been very influential. And now we help support his Canned Water for Kids.
Yes, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Charity. But really, after Rick and Greg, number 3 is everyone I've worked with, including today. I try to pull a little bit from each of them because I'm surrounded by a lot of very intelligent people, and I can't do what I'm doing without them. That sounds cliche, but with my background, that's 100% truth.
So the key to true leadership, I mean, having not knowing you obviously very well and talking to you now, is it to be totally calm and totally open to suggestions and also to take criticism, really, and to delegate? I mean, I look at you now and I get the impression you're quite a calm, relaxed guy, pretty laid back. Am I right?
On the outside, yes.
Oh, so you're a Rottweiler inside, are you?
No, I'm, recently our HR tried out a new survey with me that we'd like to use with our employees, and it nailed me to a T for the most part. I thought some things were a little off, but that's because I didn't like it. I tend to have a even keel about me. I have my moments. People know when I'm not happy, and I don't have to pound the table. But I also believe in listening to everyone's opinion. This is a group effort. I like to give people room to do their jobs and not do it for them, but I provide what I can to make them successful. So I'm lucky to be in the role I'm in to help lead our company, but it's really the people behind me who are doing the day-to-day, and I just give a nudge here and there when it's needed. And, of course, there's always that time when everyone stops talking, then they look at you, and then you have to make the decision. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I enjoy the challenge.
You've got broad shoulders.
I hope so. They're pretty sore some of these days.
And do you play golf as well? Do you play golf?
I try. I enjoy the act of being out there, being outside, and the fun that you get in those events. I've just never had the time or taken the time to play on a regular basis to to get really good. I can contribute in a scramble, but on my own, I need a lot of work. So I'll save that for retirement.
Yeah, there are a lot of golf courses in the States, I think, aren't there? Hugely,
Yes.
So popular. I don't play, I'm afraid. I tried once and I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. But I appreciate it. And we have some great golf clubs in the UK as well, you know. So so what do you do to relax then?
Well, when I can, I like to fish.
Fantastic.
I like being outdoors. So my wife and I will take our dog for some long walks. Sometimes we just like to take drives out into the country and randomly find a nice spot. We like to taste wine and enjoy wine. So surprisingly, in Illinois, there are a number of wineries that exist, and there's some decent wine. So that's always a nice weekend just to do that. And we're very big on getting time with our family, who are all in the Charlotte area.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
But we have 6 grandkids that we try to keep up with, and hopefully a few more before they're done. I am a Packer fan, so
a Packer fan.
It's a Green Bay Packers football.
Oh, okay, American football. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm really ignorant there.
That's okay.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I've seen one American football match, and that was in Chicago. The Cubs were playing, and I saw that, and I went with my husband and my son, who was a sports fanatic, and he understood all of it, and spent the whole time explaining to me the rules. I still don't understand it.
Yeah, sports in general I enjoy, but we lead a relatively calm life, I guess you'd say.
So to finalise, really, you've been at INXs for over 47 years, you said.
44 years with INXs, 3 years with the first company I was with.
So I don't know. What are your plans for the future? To stay there forever?
If I stayed here for something went terribly wrong. I think people deserve to retire at a time when they're ready.
Yes.
And I have a time in mind. Okay. And when that day comes, everyone will know.
So are you grooming somebody to take over?
Yes. Well, I think we have somebody ready right now. Ooh. And we have others on board who I think could be in the role for the future. So ultimately, that's up to Sakata in Japan.
That's so exciting. That's really exciting. Yes. That's not male or female. Can you tell me that?
I cannot.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with me about INX before we close the chatting?
No. INX is going to be around a long time. Our dedication to the metal side of the business is unmatched, and that's not going to change no matter who's sitting here. And our culture is in good hands now and for the future. So fantastic. The industry and our customers can expect more of the same from us.
I can't wait to hear more and to see more. John, thank you very much indeed for this. It's really been illuminating for me.
Well, Janice, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and good luck with your endeavor.
If our listeners would like to get in touch with you, how do they do this?
I would say, Janice, the best way to get in touch with me is just go to LinkedIn, search for my name, and I'm on there every day. I'll respond.
Okay, great, lovely.
Okay.
It's a wrap. Is that what they say? Hopefully I'll meet